Hey there! Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Right, welcome to Fatigue Index. Who needs this nonsense? With me this week, I have a friend of mine, Neil Parsley. Pars, how you doing, dude?
Good, Si. How are you?
Very, very well. I'm a little bit less rushed than you are today, but I appreciate your time in this busy traversing of the country.
No problems.
You don't need to go through your background, but like quickly, Pars is a Red who's also a very experienced S&C coach, sports scientist for England in a variety of sports and all sorts of cool stuff. Pars, why don't you tell us about how you became a Red? A Red.
Yeah, so easy choice for me being a Red. My dad had a big link to Liverpool football. He was playing for obviously the schoolboys and the borough that he lived in. It was Liverpool schoolboys. There's obviously like Sefton and Knowsley schoolboys, but he played for actually says Liverpool schoolboys, but that's just all the schools in a certain area in Liverpool. He was from Norris Green, so he signed for Liverpool at 14 and a half. So he had an option. Yeah, he had an option for Liverpool and Everton, and chose Liverpool, which is obviously, I don't know, pretty cool to say your dad. And then, so he went on, he then signed as an apprentice at sort of 16 and a half. And by the way, sorry, the year after he signed at 14 and a half, Shankly came to the club.
Wow.
So Shankly, I think was 59. It's 59. My dad signed in 1960. So it was round about then. Shankly's around. Shankly signed him. Well, he said to me, Shankly signed him as a pro. So I don't know if Shankly had the decision on him as an apprentice, but Shankly signed him. So he was in Shankly's first squad. There's a bit of a thing going on. He's had a few people getting in touch with him recently. Someone's written a book, one of the guys in Shankly's first ever squad, and my dad was in that. So they all meet up at Christmas now. So he did that, but then also Shankly sacked him at 19. He broke his ankle, and anyway, that sort of put pay to his career. Unfortunately, he got on the bench for the first team once.
That's amazing.
So that's why I'm a Red.
Very cool and crazy how I can touch on some of the stuff I want to talk about with injuries, but like the difference injuries make now compared to like 3 generations ago, whatever. But even a generation ago.
Yeah. It's funny that he does say, it literally back in the day, if you broke your ankle, you pretty much were out for a long, long time. So he was sort of like, right, that's it. I'm afraid you're done. You're done.
There was no medical, the physio, the doctor. Might be somebody the manager knows. There'd be no official employment of any medical staff or anything.
No, I presume. Yeah, I don't actually know. I wasn't sure. Yeah, the bucket and sponge was just the coaches then, wasn't it? Probably wasn't.
Yeah, it's just coaches. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Crazy. Very cool.
Very like one sub. He always reminds me that when they played one sub, literally one sub, and that was it. Which just shows you that it matters. So, but yeah, it's all very different nowadays. All very different.
So quickly, what? Just for context for people, what? Because we're kind of the same age. What is the team of your life? What is the great team that made you love Liverpool?
I can literally to this day remember us sitting down in our front room watching the 3-1 win. Craig Johnston crosses it to Rush, 3-1 at Wembley when they beat Everton.
Double, 86.
Yeah. So I literally that was the team. That was Craig Johnston, Dalglish, Rush. All them unbelievable
Colby,
players.
Whelan,
Hansen,
McDermott, who gets weirdly McDonald. He was in the team that day.
Yeah, McDonald. There you go. McDonald, McMahon, Lawrenson, Hansen. Me and my brother used to laugh at Hansen and Lawrenson, the fact they'd never pass back. Like they literally they do everything not to do a pass back to the goalie. Yeah, and he had that. Remember, he fell out with Beglin, so they had a fallout. Him and Beglin had a big fallout in that final.
I remember it.
Yeah, it was a brilliant sort of turning point. I think if I remember, and then he made a great save. Graham Sharp's a looping header, made
flying backwards.
Flying, yeah. So that's the team I remember most, and remember like really enjoying watching Liverpool. Me, my brother, and my dad. So yeah, good times.
Crazy. Right, let's crack on with. I have like some fairly specific topics I wanted to pick your brains about. So for those that don't know, that Neil's worked with as the main, what we would call an S&C, but a physical performance coach, fitness dude for England rugby back in the day. Also, he's got a gym local. What's your gym called then?
Underground training station over on the Wirral in Hoylake.
There you go. So if you want to get jacked, that's the place to go. But my point is that he likes the idea of being jacked. He's full on the strength component of the strength and conditioning coach. I want to talk about, I have very strong feelings about this, the prototypical footballer. What does the prototypical footballer currently look like? And the physical body type of a footballer has very specific traditions and leading to physical qualities we're trying to train. And I'm not sure if an 11.5 stone, if a 74 kilo 6 foot player with VO2 max of 58 is the optimal somatotype for the physical demands of current football. What do you think?
This is a great question. I've got to say, I think this is a great question because I speak to obviously parents about this a lot. People are always asking me and people talking about what I see in and around, England players. Done some consultancy at Manchester City recently, in the rehab unit there, and work with Premiership players. I think you can't put your finger on it. So for me, I'm going to give you two massively sort of like opposite end of the spectrum. I'll give you Phil Foden and I'll give you Haaland or Van Dijk. So you're talking probably a 25 kilogram difference, a 6-7 inch difference, 6 inches difference, maybe more with Haaland. The thing. So my thing is very strong legs, very strong core, not that much up top. So it's like you sort of becoming. I hate to say this is a really, really strange one to say. So I worked with British Cycling for a long time. So if you looked at Chris Hoy back in the day, he had unbelievably big, strong, powerful legs, a core of steel. And they used to they minimized the upper body because they didn't want the draft. It was a draft thing. So they minimized their upper body. So they weren't allowed in the gym to get too big on their upper body. And then obviously being very lean as well. So there's a sort of, power to weight ratio. And I actually think, and I have used that to people. Some people just look at me a bit weird, but I actually think that for me is the way I see. That's the way I see the footballer now. I can't say they've got to be 6 foot. for me, because you can't, because Messi, Phil Foden, some of the best players in the world are 5'8", so is 6 foot better than 5'8"? Well, no, it depends. It depends for me, because if you look at what you need to, as long as you can accelerate, as long as you've got the physical prowess, is Phil Foden very fast off the mark? Can he accelerate? Yes. Does he set himself up with a strong base? Is he very clever the way he positions his body and his feet on the ground so that he doesn't lose duels, doesn't get shrugged, pushed off the ball? Yes. Is he very, very fit? Is he got a real high intensity fitness that allows him to work very, very hard in pockets of the game continually? Yes. So there's my sort of like take, and we can dig in more and more, but I can't say that there's an absolute perfect body that you've got to go, right, that's, if you're not like that, you're not going to go. I'd say you've got to be lean. You've got to be phenomenally strong and robust around your groin, your hip mobility. You've got to be able to accelerate. So you've got to be fast. You have got to play at the Premiership. I say to people, the body weights in the Premiership and the body compositions are definitely, body comp lower, body weights lower than the Championship, First Division, Second Division. So there's like if I go and watch Tranmere play, my local club, they look like, I don't want to say it, but they look like a totally different physical group of players than the Liverpool team. They are markedly heavier and bigger, just generally overall. And I'm pretty sure, I reckon on average, I'm going to say at least 5 kilograms heavier, if not more. If you did the body weights, sorry.
Would you put that down to body fat? Or I would suggest that's changed over the last 10 years, a little bit in line with society, but from semi-pro up, really. I think semi-pro would be like national and southern leagues, right up to maybe Division 1, would be a similar physical type of footballer. 10 years ago, there used to be some fat lads. There used to be some unfit lads. There used to be some skinny lads that could get around. Now you get a lot of lads that go to pure gym and have got guns of steel, and they're all jacked.
Yeah, exactly that.
They look
exactly
like they're on Love Island.
Yeah, exactly that. Because, and then I hate to say it, the sort of longer ball game, that sort of, if you're a centre half in the Second Division, I think you're dealing with a lot of, direct play. So physicality, you are wrestling with players a lot of the time. And I think that, as you say, that sort of player, I watched Tranmere play Swansea. Someone to tell me, but probably I've got to say 5 years ago, maybe, at Prenton Park. So I looked at the Tranmere team, and I'll be totally honest, they looked like almost bordering on rugby, sort of like the size. I was like, wow, look at the size of these guys. Swansea looked like they needed a meal. They needed they literally needed feeding compared to the Tranmere guys, and they ran the speed. They have a couple of French guys playing for them. They were probably looking about 68, 70 kilos wet through.
Wow.
They destroyed them. They destroyed Tranmere because it's a totally different way of playing. They were playing in between the lines. It was all about speed, high intensity, and Tranmere were playing a different game in the lower divisions. It's very, very different for me. I've seen a lot of the sort of lower divisions, worked at Stockport for a bit, and you've still got brilliant players. I'm not saying, before people start giving me absolute pelters, there's players in them divisions who are very, very fast, very, very quick, and are light and lean. But the average body weight, I'm pretty sure, as you go through the divisions, definitely decreases as you get to the Prem. And I think body composition, and I think you're right, lean muscle mass is definitely a thing in the lower divisions. Whereas, I remember seeing like Gerrard, Hippier, and like to this day, you see like Haalands, and you see the England players taking their tops off. They are like these cyclists that I used to see, where they are minimizing total body weight. Because if you've got to run, 1,500 meters of high speed running in a match. So I'm not talking about volume here, because the total volume of running in games is not that much different, if anything, between the under 16s and the seniors. We've got stats at the FA that prove that. So everyone's running 12k, say 12, round about 12k. It's down to the intensity. It's the speed, the high intensity speed. So the speed above 19.8 kilometers per hour, 5.5 meters per second, whichever units you want to work in. So we look at that as a metric. Above that, the higher levels live there more. It's as simple as that.
That's where the gold happens, isn't it? That's where the magic happens.
Right. That's where the magic happens. And again, because I think some parents come to me, I deal with a lot of younger sort of players, 16 to 18 to 19, and some parents, I mean, again, they're not sports scientists, so I get it. They'll say, oh yeah, he did 12k on Friday, and I'm like, that is fantastic, and I'm made up that Johnny's done 12k, but it's the high intensity that I'm more interested in, because I'll know what was his max speed. So I'll say, what was his max speed? And did the sports scientist have a metric where it says high speed running, which might include the sprint distance as well? Some people include it, some people don't. That's what I'm more interested in, being honest. And I try and educate them to stop. They shouldn't stop looking at total distance, but that's not the differentiator. The differentiator physically is going to be the high intensity running metrics for sure, and that's what you get when you get closer to the Prem.
Yeah, so it depends entirely which GPS tracker you use and that kind of stuff as to what specific metrics they have. But we use Stat Sports, and they have a metric called DSLs. And so you ideally I want those over 250. It's like accels and decels and impacts. Yes. And so I want, that's the high intensity stuff that I want. High intensity running, lots of it, but also I want lots of sharp movement.
For sure. That's right. So that metric on Stat Sports, you only get them above 3 meters per second. So you know, if you're cruising around, chugging around doing 12k, but without real intensity, you won't even get any of them. Whereas if you're, as you say, violently accelerating, decelerating, pressing, you know, making runs, but it's full blooded with high speed, you get these accel decels, and you're dead right. That's another one to look at.
They've just added an extra category called impacts as well, which is fascinating. I don't know if you've looked at it since, because it's only been up like 2 weeks.
No.
Which is crazy. Some of the providers have similar stuff from rugby, whatever before, but we've got a girl we played Wolves last week, and she had 380, and it was more than double anybody else on the pitch. And you can just see this. She's super fast, but she's constantly battering into girls. It's just so, which it links into this in that you say there's no, like, you would keep them like a T-Rex. So big jack legs, really strong, solid core, which is, if people that listen to this care about relating this to their kids or themselves training, that my thinking about core is what you're doing is you're creating an axis of which your legs and your upper body rotate around. So you want it to be as solid and stiff as possible, like concrete. That's the point. So all of the other bits around it can move, and that bit will protect you from having like a pelvis movement that you don't want, which will cause injuries further down or up the chain from there. Does that is similar to your way of thinking?
Yeah, for sure. I always, my sort of go-to is you'll never find a sprinter with a weak core, because if everything's got to move, your four limbs have got to move rapidly, again, aggressively, violently, fast. Something's got to be the foundation. That's your core. So if we train that to be that, as you say, concrete sort of super anti-rotator, anti-extender, etc., then everything else can work really hard off that. If that's not, and I think that's why for me, you know, strong core, strong glutes, lower back's not doing what it shouldn't be doing. It stabilizes.
Core, for people, for reference, in my brain, I don't know about yours, core isn't your abs. Core is below your chest to your balls, basically.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so you're talking everything around you, your backside, down the sides, down the middle, and your lower back. So it's very much like a cylinder. So if you get that right, that means that your lower back doesn't have, because this is the problem, especially in youth football, with sort of stress fractures around the lower backs. This is for me massively important that you get the foundation of your core strong as early as we can. And then, again, it's gonna build your foundation. Just think of a house. You want to build a foundation strong, and that's what I think for me and you, that comes from building a really strong core. Once you've got that, then the legs are gonna, the wear and tear on legs are huge. So robustness, just from having very, very strong quads, hamstrings, groin muscles, that's gonna really, again, just prevent injuries. So it's very much changing the way players think about it. I try and talk to them about going in the gym is, number one, availability. Do you want to be on the pitch all the time? Right. Go in there and be available all the time by doing your gym work. That's going to prevent injuries. Number two, the byproduct is you're going to look good as well. Perfect. But don't be going in there. And I think that's, as you say, there's like a bit of the pure gym phenomenon where people are going in and doing too much chest and biceps, and they're worrying about what they look like in their top, rather than worrying about their availability and doing the hip mobility and hip strengthening exercises that is going to keep them playing, week in, week out, and away from the physio.
Hip strengthening exercises, 100% is the key to staying fit. That's as what I see kids getting in the gym and clubs from around the country as they're promoting young S&Cs. They're going for big glutes and hamstrings. Some go for quads. So we're creating big engines to produce force. But what I see is the bits that control the pelvis around the groin, the hip flexors and the adductors, from slight change of direction and how you're controlling that landing momentum, which is where I see most injuries coming from, around the top of the thigh. That's where, I don't know, that is where the most valuable strength training is done in the gym, and you creating tension and control around the pelvic, keeping the pelvis stable, which is done through the hips.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Yeah, bang on, mate. Totally with you on that. There's again your fundamentals.
And just while we delve into this, right, we're jumping all over the place a little bit, because you, like myself, probably specialize in or have an interest in either developing athletes. So the ones not already done. I stopped being interested in training 25-year-old footballers 10 years ago because they're already done. They don't want to know. They might want to change their body. When they get to 30, they might be interested. But before they're 23, you can actually impact their career. And younger than that, you can impact their life. That's how I feel about it anyway. And you also have a track record of developing youth athletes. Where do you see like loading for those kids, and what are priorities in like a 12-year-old academy footballer, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, great shout. We're putting a video together at the gym, at my gym, on this, because we've got like we focus almost like I don't want to say, but our gym is one of the main focuses is youth development. So it's become a real high performance center for youth development. So that's something that we're very proud of. We've worked hard to get it like that. But we feel it's important that we educate. And the video is basically on exactly what you've just mentioned. So what we're trying to get away from is parents who, again, just don't know. They think that football every night of the week and playing 2, 3, possibly even 4 games on a weekend is the best thing, because, if you don't know, you don't know. So for me, it would be like, it's a combination of, well, if they're 12, why aren't they doing something different? So, can they do a different sport? And then for sure, get them in the gym into an accredited, we're both accredited by the UK Strength and Conditioning Association, the UKSCA. Find a UKSCA coach and get them doing a well-planned strength and conditioning program. So that should be, if that's integrated in their weekly schedule, then for me, the sort of the fundamentals, these foundations that we're both talking about, start getting really, really well embedded. And don't get me wrong, if you're at Liverpool, if you're at Man City, these things start to happen, which is great, which is the right thing. But, if you're not at a category 1 academy, category 2 academy, these don't happen. So I think, that for me, include this strength and conditioning. If you can include a different sport, even better. Or even, the combination of the two. So you got a really mixed week. So you're not specializing too early. You've got the strength and conditioning element. And I think that's I think we'll see more and more players with better careers who follow this path. And I think hopefully the education, hopefully yourself, myself with the gym, we can get that out there and help parents. I think it's really, really important that we help parents because they don't know. And it's something that's so important to kids nowadays to have people around them that can help them with this sort of stuff.
The first thing you would touch on, like we just talked about a couple of minutes ago, would be the thing you can do at home as much as you like, core training.
Yeah.
Some core training, anti-rotation, anti-extension, anti-flexion, all of that stuff. You've been able to control movement around the core, so your core can stop your arms and legs moving. That's when there's an external force pulling on them in a different direction. All that can be done at home. You don't even need a gym at that point. And the stronger that is, the better they're going to take to any other type of training.
Yeah, definitely. And then it's just about movement sort of literacy, isn't it? I think that's why, this should be in schools. I think we both sort of, I think young S&C coaches would be great PE teachers, because your physical literacy, which is basically you've been able to do your arithmetic as a mathematician, being able to spell as someone who needs to be able to spell. So English and maths, there's the same equivalent of movement. So your movement literacy, can you do a lunge? Can you do a squat? Can you do a hinge? All these things that me and Si put into our programs. If the kids can do these, so if they're getting taught to do these at the right age, then again, this just helps them come through and move better and be able to play loads of different sports. So, that's something that I think we're both, you're passionate about it, and I definitely am.
Absolutely. And it removes the physical barriers that's going to stop their career path. If that's the goal, that you're going to have.
Yeah.
That's the idea. We've got, weirdly, Connor Bradley is the first superhero to make it in the Premier League.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. That's awesome.
Very cool, though. So we've done like the kid stuff. Let's talk about a little bit. I've got a couple of extra things I want to talk about. Was what do you feel about coming from like working with international camps and stuff, that a club, like a player's owned by the club, the player's playing load is controlled by the club, and its incentive is driven by success of the club. And then you have the incentive of England or Italy or Norway or whatever for an international camp or for the summer or just for those 3 ridiculous weeks we have during the season where you have to go away to international camp right in the middle of the season. How do those training intent mold for the betterment of the player? Is it possible? Is it possible to still keep both things in mind for the player, or is it always going to slightly leak one way or the other because we have these separate interests?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question and not straightforward, because you've got a lot of, again, it's multifactorial. It's like an injury. It's just never down to one single thing. And I think a player's career is never down to one thing. And I think international windows can help players massively. They can put people in a shot window who aren't playing at the club, possibly, especially with the age group I've worked with, like sort of 18, 19. You're talking about players who are in between. They're almost too good to play in the under 21s, but they're not good enough to play with the first team. So if I'm using my example of that group, is you get players who aren't playing first team football, but then they come away with England, and we're playing at a level that is a high level, because you're playing against Italy, you're playing against the best nations around the world. So they are really good games for the developing players. But if they are in a full-time program playing every week, then it becomes very, very tough, because we know that the level that in the Premiership, Championship at the moment, that the level of the games, how quickly the games come, the cadence of the games, if you are playing every week, sometimes the international breaks are a brilliant little bit of a sort of, we write programs, and you always try and have, like, every now and then you'd have like an easy week, or a sort of like, your linear progression, and then you have a nice little unload. Now, sometimes then the international windows can be a brilliant little unload for players in the Premiership and in the Champ, for sure. But if you're not unloading and you keep loading, then that's where problems can occur. So I see it as, again, you can't say that. You can't say it's one thing. You can't say it's bad. You can't say it's good, because I know players that have helped their career by coming away with England, and they become better players because they're exposed to different tactics, different ways of training, different coaches, and it's made them better players. But then, conversely, players maybe have come away and they get injured because their load, and we, England are very, very, try and work with the clubs, and that's something that's big in the last 5 years when I've been at the FA. Try and work the clubs as much as possible, so we get a lot of the loading data as they enter. We look for 4 to 6 weeks of data, because that's the really important data to get, the loading data, so that if someone is coming in and they have played every game,
so you see their chronic and an acute load when they
that's part of the sort of data analytics department at the FA, and sports science and physiotherapy.
That the clubs send you their GPS data.
Yeah. So there's different systems depending on what club, because the top clubs, there's almost they're on the same platforms almost. So it's very much that we can see it. So so that's moved on a lot. So now what you've come in walking in the door. So you would take care of them players, because it will be wrong to, put a player who's just come off, can be 15 games with full training, etc., etc. If you get a chance to give them 1 day, unload them for 1 day, then unload them, and maybe if there's two or three games in an international window, if they don't have to play in that first game, maybe, or they're only going to play in 2 out of 3, then half the squad not playing in that first game, or the lads who haven't got the load in their system play in the first game. So there's a lot goes on behind the scenes to make sure that that's right, and it's I think that's why you're seeing again the England teams progressing so well, winning things. The 21s won, the 19s have won. I think the 17s this year very, very strong. The senior team, I think I'm saying it now, will win the Euros or the World Cup. The next two competitions.
Nobody has the volume of talent England have right now.
Yeah, exactly. So it's managing that. So the international windows are tough, and as you say, you've got two big stakeholders wanting different things. But I think it can work. I've seen it work for players massively. That helps their career, makes them better players. And then, unfortunately, there has been times where players do get injured while they're on international camp, and that can be negative. But no, it's again, it's very hard to give an answer on that. But I think the more
insight into how it works. That's kind of the most interesting thing in that.
Yeah, I think, and I say it's got better and better and better, and it's continually getting better. And there's people at the FA and there's people in clubs just trying to help out more and more. So
people have good intentions, but the bottom line is there are dual stakeholders.
Yes.
That's a thing. A manager, because I would say this at club, I say this about Klopp all the time. The medical team can only give information. The driver is the manager. They make the decisions and they have to win that week. So sometimes they make suboptimal decisions for the fitness of a player because they gamble. It's just, there's nothing you can do about that. You get a new manager as well, it's going to be the same thing. Right. It's a couple more things I wanted to delve on. I know you have to dash. Right. One, quickly, is what are your views on top-ups?
Top-ups, again, done with for the right reasons, totally makes sense for me. Because if you've got players, you've got to have a sufficient load for a player. If they're not sprinting regularly, you ask someone to sprint who hasn't sprinted regularly in a game, things can go pop. So top-ups done at the right time, with the right thought, with the right players, I think, makes sense.
So our top-ups, I agree with you, the premise entirely. Are top-ups best done doing 16 doggies after the game, or are top-ups as an idea and a concept better done in training the next morning in a game situation?
Depends on your week. Depends what you've got coming up. Depends who's going to play the next game. That's why, again, it comes down to planning. This is where the head of performance, head of medical, and the coaches and their money. If you want a team that you're going to rotate certain players for the right reasons. So then, if you're planning this all out, then you should know, right, why are players being topped up, or why he's not being topped up, or are we trying to get everyone on the same page? So the difference generally is the reason you top people up is to try and get everyone on. So the team that have played and the team that the lads who didn't play or did less minutes, you're trying to get them all on the same page because you want to take them through to the next day. They all recover. And then the following day, it's +2. It's a little bit of an easy one. And then +3, everyone can go. Yeah. Rather than if the lads come in the next day, they train hard, everyone's sort of a day out. It can be a day out, but it depends. Yeah. So that's the premise of doing top-ups, is to keep everyone on the same page and with the same sort of load management
on the schedule. Right. And do you have time for one last question?
Yeah.
So last question would be warm-ups. So no, not just warm-ups. It's that could be a 3-hour long conversation.
Yes.
It is. What are your feelings about players returning from long-term soft tissue injuries, from coming back from a hammy or a rec fem, coming on for 20 minutes at the end of a game, And that timing is dictated by somebody coming off rather than you are warming up for 20 minutes and then going on.
Yeah. Calling the shots today, mate. Some cracking questions here, which I respect no less. Just risky becomes risky. So you've got risk factors in everything. You know, whether players are traveling back on planes, and then how soon are they playing after international breaks? There's risk factors with everything. I think that's something that I myself as a practitioner, we speak to coaches about risks. So there's low risks, there's medium risk, then there's higher risk, but you never know. You don't know. You can only give your opinion and give your risk factor, if you like. So that would be my way of looking at it. Ideally you'd want a player to start the game because he's planned, and if you're doing 45 minutes, he's doing 45 minutes. He starts, he warms up fully, as you say, rather than sitting there. But again, the S&C guy, the physical prep guy, will be warming people up regularly. But you've got anxiety, as you say. You've got the timings are never right. You've got the coach saying, get him on now, and he hasn't done that perfect sort of. What is there a perfect warm up? There's another question. So I would say it's mitigating risk factors, but again, there's so many. It's multifactorial.
The job of a football manager is I talk about it all the time. There are always
chaos.
risks. There is exactly. It's herding cats. You're taking more information than ever been available before, and we as sports science practitioners like to think we understand more. I'm never quite sure how much we know for sure, but we understand principles. And we're trying to share these nuggets of principles and information with the technical coach to make informed, risk-based decisions. And so it's not like Klopp is a genius, so he's always right. He constantly makes wrong decisions because everybody does. They're humans. It's just how wrong are those decisions?
Exactly. So, and I think the best guys make less of the big sort of the big decisions that go wrong. So
they know the right time to gamble.
Yes, exactly, mate. Exactly.
Dude, I love that. We should do it more often.
I'd love to do it more often. It is good to talk this sort of stuff. There's not many people geek out on this like we do, but always happy to talk.
I know I get so many questions from just
great.
all the time, because particularly I think in the last year people have those like Twitter pundit journo kind of The Athletic. As you can, there's an article about Haaland that Neil did in The Athletic, so you can check that out. On Haaland being jacked, basically. But yeah, people want to know. I get people from the time, like news journalists are always asking me different, what does this mean? So it's becoming part of the zeitgeist anyway. And it's just nice to be able to disseminate it with an actual expert. So
no, mate, it's great. No, it's great that you understand it so much as well. So no, brilliant. Great to speak, and hopefully we do it again soon.
Absolutely. Amen to that. Thanks, dude.
Thanks, mate.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index, and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.